All right guys, in this vehicle specific video, we have a 2016 Honda Civic Sedan. Let's get right into it with the outside prep and get into the door panel removal and installation. So as you can tell, this car has rain guards. So this is going to be a little bit of an issue, not too bad of an issue because they don't go down the front side. If the front ones go down the front side, those typically have to be removed because it becomes impossible to cut that front edge. But we're going to show you the placement of the bulk window film and the cutting of it with these rain guards in place, as well as the back window. The back window has a carbon fiber spoiler attached. I'm not going to remove that. I do have a pre-cutting system. When it comes to this situation, you would have to remove that if you don't have a pre-cutting system, or try to get it as close as you can. It pretty much becomes impossible when something's covering that dot matrix on the top edge. So last resort scenario would be to remove the carbon fiber spoiler, remove the glue and reapply it. But in this, we're just gonna go over with the pre-cut. We're gonna shrink it and install it. The specific installation methods are in the course, so you can refer to that. But let's get to the door panel removal. All right, now on the 2016 Honda Civic Sedan, and this is also very similar to the Honda Accords and the Honda Civic Coupe, all you have to do is grab the top of the panel and roll it back. So to do this properly, we're gonna roll the window down so that we can grab the edge, and you'll have this gasket here. You're just gonna kind of push your fingers and grab the panel and push your thumbs on the inside and just roll that back. There's no screws across the top. The only place that there's screws is below the window switch, and we don't have to remove those to take the weather stripping out. All we're gonna do is pop this panel back enough to grab the gasket. You can even pop the front back, and it even gets released from the door handle itself. So if you look down into the door panel, this is very simple. It's just a bunch of clips, and there's a specific method that you have to use to remove this weather stripping so that you don't break it. From the inside, you're gonna grab it, you're gonna roll it outwards, then you're gonna grab it with your thumb and roll it towards you. You have to twist it towards you to release it from the clips. And then you can pull it out. If you don't roll it and you just try to pull it up, you're gonna rip this in half and it's never gonna go back on the door panel. You'll rip the actual plastic. I've done it before. So after we take that out, we'll roll this back up. We didn't do the inside prep yet because I want to remove the gasket. There was tint on this before. We want to make sure we get all that glue off. So onto the back door panel removal, or the back weather stripping removal. It's the same thing, just one extra step. We're gonna take the gasket jamming stick. We're gonna go in the top of this triangle here, just push straight in there and pry back a little bit, and that pops right off. You can see that the way it works is there's clips here that clip onto this side, and then there's one of the door panel clips here that just clip in. So you're just popping that out this way like a hinge. You don't want to pop the front side out first because you could potentially break these plastic pieces. So once we have that plastic piece off, you can roll the window down so that you can get a grip here. I'm going to put my thumbs down here and roll back. And then grab the back of the panel, release those clips, and then forward. And then the same thing again, grabbing from the inside, rolling it forward, and then pulling it up and rolling it back. And it just releases. Now that we have the weather strippings removed, we're gonna go ahead quick with the interior cleaning with the razor blade on the inside, just like a standard roll-up window cleaning before we apply the film. All right, now that we have the windows all prepped, let's lay out the bulk material just like any other car, and I'll show you guys certain techniques of working with the rain guards and making sure that that doesn't mess up your installation. So of course, the first step we're gonna do, soapy water. This person's getting 5% Suntech Standard Pro. Rough cut. Now the main thing you want to pay attention to with these rain guards is just keeping them wet. If they're wet, the tint will slide easily and you won't have any issues. I'm going to cut this bottom edge because I cut the film short, so I can, that's a little tip you can take in. If you cut the film short and you think it's gonna cut into the window, you can shift the film a little bit and you get more length out of that top area. It's just an extra step I'm gonna do for this car. You don't have to do that if you cut the right bulk or rough piece. So just like any other vehicle, we're gonna cut the front edge first. And we're gonna shift it forward about 1/4 of an inch. Line up the bottom, shift it forward. And you can push the bottom edge all the way down into that gasket because we removed the weather stripping, so we have plenty of room to work with. And then we'll cut the back after we shifted it forward and mounted it in place. And we're going to cut the excess material off. Now with this excess material, on each side you can do the rear quarter windows. So these rear quarter windows, this will be perfect for that. Or even the bottom of the back window. Bottom of the back window is really good for a windshield strip on this. But I have these pre-cut because I didn't want to cut this girl's stickers that she has on her quarter glass windows. So just like the back window that I'm pre-cutting, I'm also pre-cutting the quarter glass windows out of that as well. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the top edge. Now with these rain guards, the main thing you wanna do is make sure that the tint's not sticking to it. If you go and roll this window down and the tint sticks to the rain guards, it's gonna rip the film off of the window. So again, make sure that there's enough soapy water behind there, and then we'll go ahead and lift up the bottom just like any other vehicle. Roll it down. Now after you roll it down a normal amount, we're gonna remount it in place and roll it down even further. Enough for the tint to lay flat, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee it in place across the top edge and cut the top edge just like any other vehicle. And another thing, when you have the rain guards on, you're gonna have more excess material on the front and the rear top parts. All you have to do is create a continuation based on what's there with one of your hard cards. You can go ahead and round out the bottom edge. And the top edges. Now before we place the film on the outside to be mounted on the inside, we'll roll it up so that we have about an inch gap on the inside. It's alright that this is covering the gap now, and you can see from the inside that there's about an inch opening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount this on the outside just like any other window and install it just like any other roll down window with the gasket removed. Mounting it in place, wiping the top edge, and prepping the inside. Now a little tip when you're doing installs with the rain guards on, yes, install the film and drop it into place with the window up, but once you have it into place, roll it down so that you can see that top edge clear, because the rain guard will block that. Then once you have it squeeged out, we'll proceed just like any other window with pushing out the top edge. As you can see on this window or on this car, we do get fingers that pop up. You could avoid this by shrinking the film on the outside before installing it, or simply spraying it with soapy water, using your gray lid coat card and the heat gun, and just quickly shrink those. Now the reason on this car that you didn't see me use the side swiper or the yellow contour is because it's so open on the side that I was able to use the gray lid coat, but I am going to go over it with a final push with the yellow contour, just to make sure we get all those edges pushed down. All right, now I'm going to wipe this down and move on to the back door. Right now we laid out the bulk material on the back window. The main thing with this car is the bottom edge on this back window is not straight. If you look here, we'll line up the front edge and we'll line up on the back, and right here across the bottom you can see there's a light gap. So what we're going to do in this situation is just like we did with the front door, which we didn't have to do with the front door, but we did because we were short on material and had to skew it to make it fit. We're going to cut the bottom edge to make sure that's straight, and then just like with any other back door, we're going to cut the back, shift it back 1/4 inch, mount it in place, and then cut the front and cut the top and install it. So let's go ahead and cut that bottom edge. Rip that away. Cut the back edge, making sure the bottom is still lined up. Now when you cut the back edge on this car, you don't want to cut up to that angle there. You only want to cut up with 1 inch left, so that when you do the final cut, everything matches up. If you go too high, you're going to start cutting into where the visible window would be when you roll it down. So we got the bottom cut, the back cut. We're going to shift it back 1/4 inch, line up the bottom edge, pushing it down into the gasket because we have plenty of room to work with. Mount it in place. Cut off the excess material, paying close attention not to cut too much off, and then cutting the front edge. Rolling it down to cut the top edge. Mounting it in place after rolling it down just a little bit because of the rain guards. And then rolling it down and laying the material flat so we can cut that top edge. So now with this Honda Civic sedan, the back window, you have a straight edge and then you have an angle here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the top straight edge first, and then just create a continuation. Tear that off, and then we'll start at the top of this triangle and go down. And then we can clean that up when we do the final cuts now. Before we do that, we're going to roll the window up to where we're going to install it. And then, of course, we have to do this continuation here, so we'll mark that with the hard card and make the cut. Same thing with the front edge. Making sure that you have a fresh blade to make sure you're not scoring the glass. Stainless steel, of course. Round out the bottom corners. And that back edge, we'll round that out with a continuation. That top little corner, we'll make a nice tight round. And then the front top corner, same thing. We'll lay this out to be installed, and then we'll install it just like any other back door window with the weather strip removed. We'll go ahead and roll it up and continue the installation. All right, so like I said before, we have the quarter glass window pre-cut because I didn't want to cut her stickers. So we're going to do this just like any other quarter glass window that you've cut out already. I'm going to do it by just peeling the liner and spraying it and installing it. So let's do that really quick and then get onto the back window. Quick tip when installing quarter glass windows that are very free like this and the film can move a lot, heat it from the outside before you squeegee it. That'll make sure when you do that initial tack, it stays in place. Now you only want to heat it for a couple seconds, and then you're going to go from the inside, make sure that you have soapy water on the inside, give it a quick light tap, and then squeegee it hard. Making sure that it's not moving from the inside, which it isn't, and we're good. Squeegee that in place. Trying to make the dot matrix as even as possible. And you're good to go. Let's get into the back window. All right, guys, so we have this pre-cut piece for the back window because of the spoiler here attached to the top of the windshield. So we're gonna take this pre-cut piece. If you're doing a pre-cut, you wanna remove as much of this clear as possible. It usually doesn't tear off like this, but my blade is too deep, so it cut it for me. The reason why we want to take as much of this clear off of the top as possible is because we want to get it as close to the top as we can with this spoiler in the way, so that we can shrink the bottom so it doesn't overhang. So we're good on that. We'll do our H pattern, do our standard shrink, and then we'll go to the installation process, which is typical on any sedan like this. Little tip here that I didn't say about the stickers. When you have stickers on the back window, you're gonna do the typical dryer sheet method, but this felt card is an absolute must for when running over the stickers. If you use a hard card, you're gonna tear the tint, you're gonna create disformities in the film. You're gonna use the felt card when shrinking over stickers, always. All right, now the back window's all shrunk. The only thing different that we're gonna do with this, because of the spoiler being here and I'm Frankenstein methoding it, I'm gonna pull the tint off, spray the outside of the back window, lay the tint back down, with it not as close to the top edge as it was when we were shrinking it. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want debris to fall from under the spoiler into the tint when I pull the liner off. So I'm just gonna squeegee across the top here. This is very specific to this vehicle having the spoiler. And while I have it here, I'm also gonna do a final shrink on that top edge since I wasn't able to get close. And for this, since it's wet, I'm gonna use the gold hard card. Then we'll go to the inside prep, and then we'll go to the Frankenstein installation. All right, so we have the doors done, the back windows done. The last step would be to reinstall the bottom weather strippings on the doors. So the way you do this, it's very simple. The window's obviously gonna be in the rolled up position. You're gonna pull the panel back, simply lay it on the track, push down and you'll hear clicks. And then when the panel's like this, all you have to do is give it some taps and it's done. Same thing for the back. The only thing different is we have that one additional step for the triangle piece. We're gonna make sure the strip is facing the right way. Pull the panel back, lay it in place, click it in place, and then hit the panel in place. Then we'll take the triangle with these little teeth here. We're gonna hook those on the front first, and then pop it in place. And that is how you tint a 2016 Honda Civic sedan. The same thing goes for the Honda Accords as well. So it's pretty much the same vehicle, yet I will make another video for that car. I'll see you guys in the next video.